Good evening, Olympic staff. This is Mr. Ward. I'm going to give you some information instead of calling a whole staff meeting. Give you some information about something we plan on implementing relatively soon, which is the instructional walkthrough coaching tool. Everyone has been through walkthroughs before. We just want to make sure we got a consistent message about what walkthroughs are all about. And again, the purpose of a walkthrough in this particular coaching tool, the tool origin, design process, and the next steps as far as the school as it relates to instructional walkthrough. First of all, the purpose of an instructional walkthrough is not, and I'll repeat again, not an evaluative tool. An instructional walkthrough is meant as an instructional coaching tool. Is to allow others, whether those others be administrators, people from the outside, from the district, other teacher, peer teachers, or facilitators, in order to provide feedback to teachers about best practices in the classroom, to find out overall where our strengths and weaknesses are as it relates to the school, so we can point to correct resources and instructional planning and coaching to those that needed to coach those great teachers to be even greater, coaching those teachers that have deficiencies in some area and possibly pairing them up with facilitators and other teachers to also take them to the next level, which benefits us all. So again, it is not, and I'll repeat, not an evaluation. It is a coaching tool so we can determine what our next steps are. So that is with the purpose of this. Now, as far as the tool itself, CMS several years ago put out an instructional walkthrough tool, and from that, several schools then made some tweaks along the way to tailor it to their particular needs. That tool was used here at Olympic and across several schools within the district, and make that their personal tool for that particular school. Well, what we've done is, well, if you recall, last week I signed an email asking for teachers to participate in the process of tweaking the tool that we plan on using here at Olympic High School starting very soon, actually hopefully next week. And so that group of teachers did get together last week and go through some various different walkthrough tools and change some language, move a few things around as far as the walkthrough tool. Excuse my little pop-ups there. Move things around as far as the walkthrough tool to get it to fit our needs here at Olympic and make sure the language is correct. And again, this is still a work in progress, but I think we have a very good product. One, because it started from a district-wide collaboration and then is down to the individual schools and our individual needs. So I'm just going to take a few seconds just to go through some of the pieces of the instructional walkthrough tool, so that when you start seeing this and start seeing people come through, you know what we're talking about. So if you give me just a quick second. Okay, here we go. So as a walker comes into your room, and again, that walker could be a administrator, a principal, a dean, it can be someone from the zone, it can also be a peer teacher. These are some of the things that they're looking for when they're doing this particular walkthrough. Very simple stuff as far as they'll put in the teacher name, they'll put in the team, the school, the subject, the period, and also the time frame. The time frame and the period helps us and the walkers realize that, okay, we need to make sure that we're going into classes at varying times of the day, because as you know, certain things happen at particular periods of the day, and they don't want to teachers to say, well, you didn't see me get to that part, or we was moving to the higher level, or we just finished that. It also helps us to see when we're going so we can adjust to make sure that we're covering the whole span of a particular period and not only seeing just a very specified facet of a particular class. So we put in here the time of day so we can guide to make sure that we're being fair as when we're visiting classrooms. Number of students, very easy, and whether the lesson plan is posted or whether the lesson plan is on the Google Drive. Very simple stuff. Again, whether or not there is an agenda posted. The section here just asks about the essential question. The essential question, this is not necessarily a judgment of the essential question, but the walker may be typing in what the essential question actually is. And there's also some different links available to the person once they receive this feedback on actual Bloom's taxonomy, far as essential questions as well as stems and writing those essential questions. The next section of it, good question. Well, don't worry about that part. The next section of it will be the objective section. So the objective is posted. So in looking at the objective, and you'll notice here at the top with these numbers as far as the teacher observation connections, again, this is not an evaluative tool, but a teacher can use a collection of walkthroughs as evidence for a particular possible PDP goal that they have, or just evidence in a particular portion of their evaluation. But as far as the walker, it is not an evaluative tool, but this is a connection to where objectives fall within the teacher observation protocol. Here we talk a little bit about the objective, whether the objectives and goals are not posted and students are not aware of the expectation. Objectives and goals are not posted, but students are aware of the expectations, because we know that some teachers float in and out of classrooms, or maybe their practice to have the objectives posted at the beginning of the class in their presentation. The students write that down in a particular portion of their notebook and then move on. So sometimes the objectives are not posted, but the students are aware of the expectations and do have those things listed. And you can see for yourself some of those different things that we're looking for the objective. This is making sure they're in line. It gives students an expectation of what they are to know when they leave the classroom. The next piece is just about, and again, this is a walkthrough, it's just what is happening in the class. It is simply what we see. It is non-judgmental. What are the instructional activities as it relates to internal alignment? What is the teacher doing? Are we lecturing? Are we doing hands-on? Are we doing whole group, partner work, small groups, writing, inquiry? So just what's actually happening in the class. Students, what are students doing? Is what they're doing aligned with the Common Core? Is what they're doing aligned with the rigor expectations? If the objective says that the students are supposed to be evaluating, but they're doing the matching activity, well, that particular thing is not aligned with the rigor expectations, but it may be getting to there, but at the time of the actual visit, it is not aligned. Whether the students are reading, listening, speaking. Student engagement. How are students actually being engaged in the class? Are they authentically engaged? Or is it a well-managed class? Are the students just passively compliant? They're doing what the teachers say do, but they're just doing what the teachers say do, and they're not necessarily actually engaged in class. What are the resources that the teacher is actually using in the class? So what does the teacher use in order to impart this lesson on the students? The next piece, as far as behavior management, let's talk a little about behavior management and about the environment of the class. So the teacher itself, how is the teacher monitoring behavior in the classroom? Are they consistently moving or consistently monitoring? Is a management plan enforced consistently, or is there inconsistent monitoring going on within the classroom? As well as the environment. What about the environment of the room? Is the classroom environment inviting? Is it well organized? Or is it just not conducive to learning at all? Or is it a floating teacher, which is a point that was discussed with the group of teachers that met, that pretty much does not necessarily have control of that particular environment, or can have things posted on the wall, know that, okay, this is not the teacher's classroom, so they're not necessarily responsible for all the items that are around them. As well as making sure, especially when it gets to the part about having content relevant materials on the wall, and actually current materials. You don't want to walk into a teacher's classroom in November and they still have work or exemplars posted from August on the board, or September. Assessment methodologies, how are teachers assessing what's going on in class, whether it's oral, written, and whether those assessments align with the rigor expectations. Again, if you're asking students to evaluate, your assessments, whether it be formal or informal, should be students evaluating, not students identifying. And just the overall from that experience, where on Bloom's taxonomy do we see that particular class falling? So and then what types of research best practices are being utilized in that class, as well as the major concepts and skills that's being taught in the class. We're also looking at seeing how teachers integrate literacy. So how are they integrating literacy in the class? Is it clear, or is it unclear, or is this something we does not look for? Because there's a lot of information on this particular form, and we may not decide to look for everything every time we go into the classroom. One week it may just be objectives. One week it may just be essential questions. One week we may be looking for engagement. The purpose of this is to gather data so that we can make best choices for future PD and future coaching for all of our teachers. So And again, then as far as follow up, we may have some more questions about what we saw in the classroom. And maybe we saw something great that we want you to share with another teacher, and very excited about that. So we may say, hey, let's have a required follow up on this so that we can help use you to help some other teachers in the building. Or it could be we can have some more questions about what happened in class and may need a little further explanation. So you'll be either be required to follow up with the person that's walking through, again in a non-evaluative form, or you can be not required, but hey, if you have questions about it, you're welcome to see the person that actually conducted that walkthrough within your class. So basically that's it as far as a walkthrough, and I'd be happy to entertain any questions. And as you see me in the hall or see any of us around as far as a walkthrough, I'm just gonna go through and just click a few things to show you how you as the teacher will actually receive feedback for this particular walkthrough. Okay, once the walker actually finishes their walkthrough, they would then submit their responses, and the responses will go to the walker. So me as Mr. Ward is actually walking Mr. Pratt's math class. So when I finish, I'll make sure I have this little button click, and I will hit submit, and it will actually send me, Mr. Ward, an email of that information I just inputted into the form for Mr. Pratt's class. Okay, now I, Mr. Ward, have submitted my walkthrough on Mr. Pratt's class. Oh, actually, we can call him X-Test class. And then now Google has actually sent me an email summary of my walkthrough. So that was on test. A teacher was from team. The subject was CTE. First period, I visited the first 30 minutes. The lesson plans on the drive. There was no agenda posted. I did not click anything as it related to the objective. Here are some of the instructional strategies that was actually utilized during the class. Here are some of the student actions. Here's where we were as far as engagement and instructional resources that were utilized during that particular class. Behavior management, of course, I just went through this clicks and things. So this is the email that I, as the observer, will receive once the walkthrough instructional tool is actually complete. So once I get that, then all I would do is get the email, and since that was on did that on Mr. Pratt, I will go ahead and send Mr. Pratt an email. Thanks for letting me visit your class today. Great job. So send that information off to Mr. Pratt, and now he has my walkthrough of his class and can then take actions according to what the information is. So that is a process that we'll be utilizing for walkthrough. If you have any questions, please reach out to me anytime. Thanks, and go Olympic Trojans.